Now, I'd love your calls on whether it's okay to pinch your child. 020 7862 2222. Tell us what you think. The former Hollyoaks actress Gemma Atkinson has been criticised by parenting experts. Who are parenting experts? You just wonder, don't you? After she said online, oh, that must be other parents, that she pinched her 1-year-old to teach him a lesson after she'd seen him do the same to his 5-year-old sister. Gemma said her son is going through a nipping and biting phase. So she imitated the pinch back to him. He hasn't done it since. Geoff, is that okay?
But you try and reason with a 1-year-old boy. I mean, little boys generally are random, kind of like chaotic creatures at the best of time. And we all know that, in the real world, right, most people watching this will know that that is one of the parental things that you can do, with the worst things like biting, spitting and pinching. Obviously, if you're leaving a serious mark, that's gone beyond the pale. But the idea that parents can't be trusted to judge that moment, they say that violence might cause violence, but it also teaches you that violence might be a consequence of violence.
But it's the idea you can tell a child is wrong by doing that very thing to them.
Well, Gemma Atkinson said that he hasn't done it since, and also
in that
article, some of the positive disciplining techniques included talking calmly to the child about their behaviour. We've all seen this in the posh supermarkets where the mum's sitting there going, "No, darling, we don't do that." You think, well, she just did it. She just threw a fork at someone. So I just think that there are real-world parenting techniques which, obviously, if taken too far, are wrong. But any parent will know that sometimes it's carrot and stick.
Yeah. There we are, Yasmin.
No.
Just the odd pinch?
Not. You don't do that to any child, and a 1-year-old.
How do you do it then, if you can't?
Actually,
well, they don't know
I've
words.
raised 2 children.
They don't know words.
No, can you not just say no?
There are loads of things. There are loads of ways you can punish a child, even a 1-year-old. Put him on the naughty step, whatever. But you don't. What does that teach the child? That, oh, my mum did it to me. It hurt. He's learnt that violence works.
But he's also learned empathy. He understands the impact of what he's doing to someone else. He understands now what a pinch feels like.
His mother's used violence, and his violence is a big word, I don't mean to use it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Hurting, a pinch, to show him that works. So he's learnt that. He's not unlearned.
I think you've got young kids, right? You got one or more?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah,
it's just been born, has it?
No, he's 8.5.
Oh, I thought for some reason you just recently given birth. Okay.
Not me.
So I know that's how.
But yeah, no, he's 8.5, and there were moments, in his early childhood.
So did you? Not prying, but were there moments when you thought, okay, I know I could communicate through a smack here, but I don't want to?
Well, look, I don't want to boast, but he's a really good boy. And a lot of that stuff wasn't necessary. He just doesn't do stuff like that. But I also remember that my mum did do stuff like that with me. And, it might be saying, well, it didn't do me any harm. You're saying, well, you're essentially advocating pinching kids. I'm not saying you should do it, but it also teaches people what that feels like. Because when a 1-year-old boy does something like that, he's not necessarily conscious of the impact of someone else. Then they have to run it through their brains.
Well, we should all do it to each other then.
OK.
Oh, adults go into public places, slap somebody, and let's slap each other.
Well,
let's
if someone slaps you in the street, you would be well within your rights to slap back.
No, you wouldn't slap them
someone
back.
Slapped you, you
couldn't slap them back.
Like that.
What is the point of perpetuating violence? What you're trying to do is teach your child that violence. So, would she have bitten him? Because he bit his older sister.
You raise a good point. Terry's in Kent. Terry, what do you think of this? Are we right to be a bit down on it?
Well, to me, the reason why we've got such a high knife crime nowadays is because the kids are growing up with no authority, no one's backing, telling them off. And if your kid's naughty indoors, what you do, put them in a naughty step or send them to a room? Why does the kid don't want to sit there, want to go out? There's nothing you can do. If you lock the kid in your room, in 10 minutes you've got the police knocking on the door saying you're cruel to your child. It's like the same at school, isn't it? The child plays up at school. All the school can do is send a child home.
I guess we didn't have this level of knife crime in the 1970s, for example. So your thought is because we smacked and had the cane and the birch and all that, it stopped people graduating to knives.
Jesus.
Well, I was brought up. I got the odd slap now and again.
Yeah.
Never done. Right. There is people out there who go too far. I totally agree. But I was scared of my mum. If my mum was to raise her voice and say to me, right, when your dad gets saying you're going to be in trouble, I ran. Nowadays, a child gets told, and a parent turns around, child, I'm going to tell your dad, and the child just laughs at him and goes, well, I'm going out. I'll see you when I get home.
Yeah, Yasmin, parents aren't feared.
No, I'm not feared by my children. I'm really pleased. I was fearful growing up, because there was violence in my family, and I don't want to inflict that on my children.
Yeah,
and they're lovely. They turned out fine without a smack.
Terry, between physical discipline and violence, it's a very thin line, Terry.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And there is people out there who do go too far. But the thing is, at the moment, the child knows that he can do what he likes, when he likes, and how he likes. And if he's got a child, right, let's say, for instance, one of your kids, when it was younger, it said to it, right, I'm going to go out and play, and came in at 12 o'clock. So you turned around to that child and said, right, tomorrow night, when you come in from school, you've got to go to your bedroom.
Yeah.
Right? What happens if the child says, no, I'm not going to bother to do that, I'm going to start at 12 o'clock. The child comes in then, what are you going to do about it?
Well,
There's nothing you can do about it. You can't call the police, you can't smack the child. And
well, the classic example is where you've got a child who will not listen to your advice that you must stop and look before you cross the road. And at some point you think it is better to slap them on the leg than to let them walk out into traffic.
Listen,
and
if that was the case, children would be running wild everywhere. Most parents don't smack, don't use the kind of methods that were used on us.
I'm a bit like Geoff. I've got two lovely girls, and they've been absolutely wonderful. If anything, I was the one who misbehaved. So I never ever touched them.
I used to, when my baby was little, my daughter was little, I remember reproducing some of the behaviours that I grew up with. And my husband said to me, you're never going to do this. You're never going to shout at this baby or threaten the baby. And I stopped.
That's great. Jane is in Durham. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
A little pinch on a young child.
I don't think it does any harm because my mum had 4 kids, and my elder brother and sister, you could speak to them and say, please don't put your fingers in the plug, and they wouldn't do it. But when I came along, number 3, she would say, please don't put your fingers in the plug, and it was one of the first things I would do.
Oy.
And then when I used to go around nipping and biting people, I wasn't a very nice little girl. One day she bit me and she said, if you hit, punch or spit or do anything horrible, it's going to come back to you, so don't do it. And she explained why she'd bit me. It stopped.
She bit you then, did she?
Yeah, for doing it.
But do you not, so you remember all these years later, you remember it?
Oh, absolutely.
But you think it was deserved?
A little white teddy bear.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Geoff. Where did the teddy bear come into it?
I'm not sure about the teddy bear, but I just think that there are children, and we will all seen them in restaurants, right? And you just see them acting up. And these are often these are people that seem to come, kids who seem to come from good backgrounds. They've got no reason to be angry. And you just feel that whether it's pinching or whether it's just a serious telling off as well. I just don't think, I realise how old-fashioned I'm sounding now, but I just don't think we have enough of that, because you have to fear consequences. But the problem is when they're that little, how do you explain consequence? You have to show them a consequence.
The thing that always worked with me is I said, I'm not going to talk to you for the rest of the day.
Oof.
And I didn't not talk
that's
to
cold.
them. But
That
first hour,
worries
after
me
the first
more.
hour, it changed.
I think...
I'm not going to talk to you.
I don't know, Yasmin. I don't know. I think that feels...
That's much better than pinching and biting.
I think that's worse than violence.
No.
I'll take a pinch.
I would take the pinch. The pinch is gone.
No.
That's brooding.
Violence is wrong, whichever way you use it.
But not talking is
withdrawing
is
from.
violent.
So that's the consequence. That was the consequence.
That's interesting. David is in Reading. Hi, David.
Hi. Hello, Jeremy. How are you doing? All right?
Yeah, well, we're all thinking about how our parents disciplined us and how it's changed,
Well, it's changed over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I was brought up with 6 brothers and a sister. And my mum, she was sort of quite tolerant with us until we went over the top a little bit. And then she'd give us a slap around the legs or something like that. So, I've got 4 sons. And verbally, I can basically work on them verbally without hitting them. You know what I mean?
I think that's right. You could tell them off and maybe raise your voice.
Of course you can. Yeah,
not shout too much, but just,
No way.
All right, David, thank you very much. After the break, it's the papers and everything else, including the Sainsbury's boss warning that potential tax rises are...